gentlemen, boys and girls, it is about that time. Keep your hands up and keep your head on a swivel. The Haymakers and Submissions podcast is here. We woke up and chose violence today. Stick and stay for combat sports talk at its finest, coming your way now. Yes, it is the Haymakers and Submissions podcast. Welcome, everybody. My name is Drew. These Chops, and we're talking all things combat sports. A little focus on boxing this week. We got a lot to cover. And Chops, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just doing my thing, brother. Doing my thing. Just trying to maintain, man. Trying to maintain. And you? How's everything with you?
I'm hanging in there, man. I was loving the fights last week, and I'm excited to talk about that. And yeah, it's pretty cool, man. There's a lot going on, and but we're recording here. This is June 5th, and a little bit of a bombshell got dropped on the boxing world today, and let's jump into that, Chops. Loma has called it a career. You texted me this about 3 hours ago, and I was like, wow. So not shocked by it, but nonetheless, still thought he had some gas left in the tank, but he calls it a career. Chops, your thoughts?
He was a banger. He was a banger. He was a great one. And, because he started late, or he's older, but didn't have a lot of fights. He got an early title shot, which he deserved. But what really, really, really solidified what he was to me, seriously, when he was ready to give up his career to go fight for his country. You know what I mean? And I'm going to just keep it 100. I don't want to get political. But you realize there were guys in the NFL. Now, mind you, he was here. He was living here. He was in States. Whatever. Okay. He was willing to give up everything. The ultimate sacrifice. I want to go fight for my country, right? I want to do that. Where guys sat back, and Des Bryant was one of them who stood there when Kaepernick was protesting his peaceful protest, taking a knee, whatever have you. And Des Bryant said, man, I can't get in that. I got to check. I got family to feed. Now, think about that. Mm-hmm. Des Bryant and a lot of other NFL players that didn't kneel, so to speak, with Cap, wouldn't stand with him, wouldn't kneel with Cap, were doing that because they were afraid to give up a paycheck. Now, mind you, they could have went on and done other things, because even when they as in the NFL, got rid of Kaepernick, he still went out one time, man, a year. He got endorsements by Nike. So they could have done that, but they chose not to. Mm-hmm. So in NFL, we had guys, the Americans, that wouldn't stand with Kaepernick because they were afraid to lose a paycheck. When a few Ukrainians were giving up boxing and that paycheck to ultimately give up, they didn't give up their life. However, they were willing to. You know what I mean? Do you see where I'm getting? Is we talk about in combat sports, there's levels to this. Those are on different levels, Drew.
Oh yeah.
This guy won't give up a paycheck. This guy is willing to give up everything. Meanwhile, this guy signed a contract, so you're at least guaranteed this. You have this coming in. The other guy, the boxer, isn't. They're not fighting. They're not making money on those paydays. So you know what I mean? And that's what stuck it out to me. That's what stuck it out to me. And I'm glad, Lomo is retiring. He took, a year off before he decided to retire?
Yeah.
There were fights out there. There's money out there. And you know what? He's like, my family's good. I've got more money than I can spend. I'm going to get out of here with all my faculties. You know what I mean? And that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and wouldn't we all like to do that, right?
Man,
that's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I wish the guy success. I mean, I don't begrudge him retiring. I'm reading a lot of shit on social media already. He ducked Shakur Stevenson. He ain't ducked Shakur Stevenson. Are you kidding me? He ain't ducked Shakur Stevenson. And I really don't believe he ducked Tank Davis. I think if anything, maybe he realized now at his age, at this point in his life, he might not have what it took to beat Tank. And he was like, well, I'm not going to go out there and embarrass myself or take that L. I don't need it. To your point, he has all the money he needs. He's not going to make that fight. I don't think he ducked him. I'm not buying into that, because the guy's a warrior. Absolutely. He's willing to fight for his country and die in a war, but he's afraid to fight Tank Davis. Nah, he ain't afraid.
No, absolutely not.
No. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you're talking about, Tank's in the prime of his career, and Loma's 37. I mean, and he's been inactive, to your point, for a year. So, do the math. It probably wasn't going to happen, and it's probably good it didn't. But no, I'm not shocked by it, but it's disappointing because I think he could have, he still could have made some waves in the division, no question. But it is what it is, man.
Yeah, man.
Great fighter, great career. Now let's jump into the present tense here. Let's talk, well, actually the past tense somewhat. We're going to talk about the Jermall Charlo. He took care of business last weekend. He improves his record to 34-0. Got a TKO victory in the 5th round over Thomas Lamanna. We're not surprised by that outcome, Chots, but did Charlo deliver to the level that you were expecting and hoping for, like we talked about last week?
Did he perform? Yes. Yeah, he did. And I'll be honest with you. But see, here's the thing. Could he have taken him out earlier? Could he have taken him out 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, possibly? But then did he want to get the rounds in? And again, it's not. But here's the thing. You hear people say that I need to get in the rounds. I need to get in the rounds. But I don't know. Now that more I think about it, what does that mean? And when I say what does that mean, we know what it means. But normally in sparring, you try to get in rounds. Let's try this combination. Let's try that, whatever. So if it doesn't work, all right, we know that's not something we want to work in live, or we need to tighten it up a bit, right? Yeah. So having said that, if he tries to work on something to get more rounds in, because Lamanna, as we said, Lamanna wasn't going to do anything. He wasn't offering any resistance. You know what I mean? So in this aspect, you get an A because you handle business. You didn't knock him out, but TKO, stop, whatever have you. Now, here's where it's hard for me to give an A+. This was only Lamanna's 2nd fight at 168, so he's coming up in weight. Mm-hmm. He's been knocked out before by 160 guys. So the fact that Charlo didn't knock him out, and I understand that you can't knock everybody out, but when you go skill set for skill set, power for power, toolbox for toolbox, Charlo maybe should have gotten him out of there a little earlier. Here's the thing, though. After what we talked about, what happened with Wilder messing up his fight with Joshua, what we saw with Ryan Garcia, you know what I mean? And when we're talking about Caleb Plant. In this aspect, the old adage in boxing, I'll win this fight, I'll look good the next one. You know what I mean? And that's what he did, man. He looked good, but not great. So I give him an A, not an A+.
I think that's fair. I thought A-, B+. I thought he looked good. I thought he was very workmanlike. He didn't rush anything. He didn't appear to have a lot of ring rust out, which I was impressed with. He seemed very fluid. The jab was working well. To your point last week when we recorded the preview, Lamanna's easy to hit. His head stays in the same spot, so he was going to get hit, and Charlo took advantage of that. I mean, he was beating on him and hurting and physically hurting him. He wasn't, like you say, he wasn't going to take him out necessarily. I think he probably would have by the 7th if they hadn't stopped it, because he was beating him down. But realistically, I thought it was a pretty good performance considering how long he'd been inactive, and then coming up to 168, pretty solid. I was happy with it. I thought I was going to go to the distance. I didn't think that he was going to bring his B+ A game to the fight, and he did. So was Lamanna a great opponent? No, but he took care of business. He didn't let it go to distance, so that was a good thing. But like you said, I'll win today, look good the next time, and in essence, that's what happened. But I think it was if I'm Charlo, I'm feeling really good about it because he's got to feel good about getting the win. He got the guy out. He didn't knock him out, but he got him out early, and now he's got that under his belt. He's probably feeling a lot better about his performance now after the fact. And hey, going into the next fight, whatever that may be, we'll see. But we definitely thought what we might see, but we'll talk about that shortly. But any other thoughts about Charlo before we move on?
Well, again, because would it have been, we talked about it, 12, 18 months, somewhere around there, not doing it. We know it was more than 12, not maybe as much as 18.
Yeah.
And this is all personal, not personal, a personal opinion, personal, whatever.
Yeah.
Did he look puffy around the midsection to me, Charlo? And I understand he's 35 now. But I always remember him having like not a 6-pack or an 8-pack, but he just, and I don't want to say soft, but he almost looked like Navarrete in the middle, who makes 130. It's hard, but he's not chiseled. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, but on that aspect, man, everybody can look better, and they're always, and I know his team is right now studying film where they can prepare, or excuse me, where they can prep and where they can get better and look better. But overall, like you said, his camp has to be ecstatic. And we talked about this. This is where his camp gets an A+, his team gets an A+.
Yeah.
Because they picked the perfect opponent. Because let's not forget, Lamanna is taller. He's taller than Charlo. He's wiry, he's taller. But he doesn't want to fight you in real estate. He wants to fight up close. He wants to fight in the phone booth. That definitely doesn't work when you're going against a guy like Charlo, who was lower with, his center of gravity was better. His balance was better. He was stronger. Mm-hmm. They fought. They picked the perfect opponent. And in this aspect, man, I give his team an A+ because they scouted. They picked the perfect opponent, which you said showed no ring rust. But this opponent, they knew where he'd be. There couldn't have been ring rust because you knew where this guy was going to be. Yeah. So I give his team an A+ on who they chose.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and just Monster. I mean, now I wonder one question, because you mentioned he looked a little puppy. I did notice that, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Devil's advocate here. Was that possibly by design? Because like we've talked about many times over, you've said it many times over, these guys that are chiseled, that seem to have 0% body fat, they fizzle out quick. Do you think maybe they did that so that maybe they had some endurance concerns in case it went longer?
Big dog, I get you on that aspect. However, when you look at, I'm also into college wrestling, and you look at some of these college wrestlers, 170, 160, 78, right? Whatever have you, they're still yoked because, and those muscles need oxygen. I get that. You know what I'm saying? But when you have that phrase, those muscles need oxygen, those are for guys who got the gym muscles, but they're not training for those long distances. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Where you have these other guys, man, in some of these sports that are yoked and still look like and can go for days. You know what I'm saying? And can go for days. Remember Sugar Shea Mosley? He had abs. He was, he had where on the same token, you had De La Hoya, who was never really defined. You had Bernard Hopkins, who was never defined, but could go forever. You know what I'm saying? So, but I do get where you're coming from that. Muscles need oxygen. I think if anything, he hadn't been live in so long. So that to me might have been where he looked a little soft in the middle. And I only say soft for what he has looked like before. Mm-hmm. And I say that because maybe I don't want to say they didn't take this camp as serious, but he hadn't been in camp in 18. He hadn't fought in so long. He's not in camp shape. He's not camp ready. He's not in that mindset to make sure. I don't know what he ballooned up. You know what I'm saying? We know there's fighters that during fights can balloon up 30, 40 pounds from what they fight. You know what I'm saying? I get that. Yeah. But their mindset is, and let's not forget, he was dealing with some things, man. He was talking getting stripped, mental, you know what I mean? So I don't know exactly what had him coming in not looking like the chiseled guy. Not I don't want to say chiseled, but the more muscular guy that he always is. Mm-hmm. But for what needed to be done in this day and age, and when I'm saying guys having a golden opportunity and missing it, I got to give Charlo his props on this. He removed all doubt, because we questioned, other people questioned it. Where's his head going to be? This, that, whatever. How will his tank look? Would there be ring rust? Lamanna, however you pronounce it, was who he was. And Charlo came out and did what he was supposed to do. You want to stand in front of me in exchange? Even when I'm not at 100% peak, I'm still better than you. Yeah. So you got to give Charlo his props on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, absolutely. No, couldn't agree more. Now let's talk about his next opponent. Was supposed to be Caleb Plant after he would dispatch Armando Resendiz, but whoa, wait a minute. He gets a split decision victory, and I'm going to call bullshit on that right away because we were texting during that fight, and I just kept saying, it's Vegas, baby. It's Vegas, baby. Sure enough, one judge has it, 115, 113 Plant. I get having it 115, 113, or 116, 112. There's no way in hell you give that fight to Caleb Plant. He got beat soundly.
And started looking around, right? Well, hold on, because I want to make sure. David Sutherland. I always wanted to go, right? David Sutherland was the guy, right?
Okay.
That was the judge. Found his scorecard. He gave Plant 4 of the last 6. Now, like you said, you and I were going back and forth and we're texting, right? But having said that, I can't remember which round because it was early. Because 1 through 3, 1 through 4, Caleb was like, okay, he wasn't dominating, but I had him winning. I know 2 of the first 3 rounds. I know it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it was 4 or 5, somewhere around in there, where your boy Resendiz started putting punches together. He started putting punches together. And that's when I was like, I hit mine, you hit yours. It was just like yours came across faster, your fingers are faster. Where I was like, you was like, yo, this isn't a good night. I was like, then I hit, this is not so far shaping up. Because you know how it is. When you have an underdog and he's worse, if you're the favorite, the worst thing you can give your underdog opponent is confidence. It's confidence.
Yep.
And Resendiz started getting confidence. Remember, Drew, you and I spoke about it last week. It bothered me. That leading up to this fight, all they kept talking about was the beef between Plant and Charlo. They buried the hatchet. They hugged. Those 2 cats aren't fighting. And we talked about it. That bothers me. Before I get into the fight of it, I want to, I told you it bothers me when they're telling the guys, Drew, if you beat Joey Pots and Pans, you and Chops are lined up to make the next fight. You know what I'm saying? Well, Chops, if you beat Bobby Blue Bland, you and Drew are lined up to have it. My mind is not on Bobby Blue Bland. My mind is on, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm not, because I'm expected to walk through this cat. So you can't tell me their training camps are what they should be. I'm not putting that. I'm not doing that. I'm not going for that. But before we get into the actual fight of it, that's what I want to say on my 2 cents on that aspect. But I want to hear what you had to say, if you have any thoughts of that before we talk about in the ring on this one.
Yeah, they definitely looked ahead, and they definitely underestimated Resendiz. I'll tell you what, I admittedly going into the review, I didn't know a lot about him, but I did watch film, and I was like, there's no way in hell I was going to pick him, and I didn't. But I did like how he fought inside on some of the clips I saw. I'm like, he's got some skills inside. He's strong, but like you said, he also gets hit too, and he did.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, he's sweet hands Plant. He's lightning quick. He's got some pop, but he's not going to kill you necessarily. And then when you fight and when you get able to get close to him, because Plant is definitely more effective when he's got some space. He throws long punches and he's able to throw them quick and get out of the way. But when you get inside the phone booth, you nullify that. And I think that's what really hurt him. He played to Resendiz's strengths too often in that fight.
Okay. So now piggybacking off what you said, let's go into the in-ring part of it. Okay.
Yep.
Now, when he, as in Plant, as you say, what he does now, that's sticking with the game plan. To me, he didn't look like he had a game plan.
No.
Because he wasn't hold on. Now that I think about it, do we want to say he didn't have a game plan, or Resendiz refused to allow him to stay with that game plan? Because there was a lot of times he was almost chasing Plant. So Plant wanted to fight from a distance, but Resendiz was like, no, I'm not going to allow you. I'm not going to allow you. I don't know if he didn't respect Plant's power, if he, as in Resendiz, realized your boy Plant had 2 losses coming into this fight?
Yes.
And who were they against?
Canelo and David Benavidez.
2 Mexican fighters.
Yep.
Who come forward.
Yep.
Now, again, I don't know if his team put that game plan together. I don't know. But I do believe his team let him know, as long as you're throwing punches, you got a chance to win. he did stumble Plant once, but he never really hurt him. But he beat up that body. Remember, you and I were texting. I was like, "Look at this! Look at his left side." Woo!
Yep, you got it.
Yeah. And to me, I'm not going to sit there and say Resendiz wanted it more. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is Resendiz stuck to his game plan. He trained for this, and when I say he trained for that, I understand the plan had a camp as well. But did you notice Resendiz stuck to combinations? He wasn't just throwing one punch and trying to get out of there. He was throwing multiple punches, and maybe the first 2 or 3 wasn't landing, but that 4th or 5th was catching him. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So that impressed me. You know what I mean? That impressed me. So, but I don't want to hog the entire time. Go ahead, Tim. What you were thinking?
No, that's a great observation and it's the right thing to do because, especially against a guy like Caleb Plant, he's got fast hands, lightning fast hands. So you can't throw one at him and admire your work because he's going to smoke you with 3 or 4 more and going to come back. So you're going to lose on the scorecards. Hell, he lost on a scorecard anyways, even though he fought a great fight. But I think I'm putting this on. I think it's a 2-way street. Obviously, Resendiz was definitely ready. He knew his opponent very well. They had a very sound game plan. I believe Caleb Plant was physically ready and mentally he was looking ahead. And also, I don't believe his camp prepared him for his opponent because, like you said, they're looking ahead. They played into Resendiz's strengths, and they absolutely should not have allowed that to happen. I mean, Plant, he didn't not to run away from him. He didn't have to do that, but he needed to move laterally a lot more.
Yes,
stick and move. And instead, he became a little stationary too much of the fight.
We talked about that. Remember our text we said early on, he's backing straight out. He's not backing and hitting the move. That's what, you know what I'm saying? We talked about that. And also, remember last week, Big Dog, before the fight, we said it. Resendiz is a much stronger and tougher opponent than what Charlo has. And now, again, we both picked Plant to win. We did. But remember when I said, and you agreed, and we elaborated on it, if either of these fights saw end of the 7th, I did say first end of the 6th, but I said end of the 7th, end of the 8th, it's a bad night for Plant or Charlo. Yes. Plant was a bad night. Charlo got it done in the 6th, so it never saw the end of the 6th, never saw the beginning of the 7th. I had said, if this sees the beginning of the 8th round for either fighter, it's bad. And from 5 on, if you want to go 4 and 5, possibly toss up, whatever have you, but definitely 6 on, I had Resendiz winning from 6. So when your boy Sutherland gives Charlo 2 of the last 4, are you kidding me? This is the problem with boxing. You know what I mean? And guys aren't being held accountable. And here's the thing. And remember, you and I had talked about this before. I get when people have rounds. Wow, this is so tough. Drew and Chops are fighting. Wow, Drew's the champ. That was a close round. I'm going to give it to Drew. Wow, this is a close round. I'm going to give this one to Chops, right? Whatever, because they're so close, you're splitting hairs. I get that.
Yep.
I get that. And those rounds, I might be going one for me, one for fighter A, one for fighter B, because they're so close. I want it to be close that if it's a neck and neck fight. So if somebody does get a knockdown, that's the point they needed to win. But that fight was razor close, right? So when I'm done, if it's a close fight, no matter who I had winning, because maybe somebody ended up dominating the first 2-3 rounds and got those, somebody dominated the last 2-3 rounds at the end. I don't know. But for the rounds in between, it was so close. So maybe it is the 115, 113, right? But we all know who the victor was because, you know what I mean? Or it's 115, 113. I had fighter A, you had fighter B at the same score, but that's not a hill we're willing to die on because the fight was so close.
Yeah.
This fight, for you, those rounds weren't close.
No.
They weren't 10-8 rounds. They were not 10-8 rounds. But Drew, can we agree that your boy Resendiz was definitely the clear-cut victor in those rounds?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So many of them. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. If they're close rounds, Well, Drew, you gave fighter A rounds 9, 10, and 11. Well, I gave 9 and 10 to A, but I gave B. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I can see it because they're so close. That's not how this was, Drew. So for that man to turn in that scorecard, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And real quick, not to get off it though, we had our boy come back. Larry Hazard.
Yeah,
Larry Hazard, man. That was a great one, man. To have Larry Hazard, that was phenomenal to have him back. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
he had it a whitewash too. And here's the thing. I would like to be in the corner of the fight and at the end in the locker room. Because the only ones we've ever actually seen, the trainers now, come on, man, we need this. I'm gonna be honest with you. But they don't dig in the ass how, you're back in the day, Dundee. Hell, even we saw Teddy Atlas and Michael Moore's face, or whomever. They were getting in their fighter's face. They had that relationship that you knew my anger, my yelling, my cursing was coming from a place of love. Well, hell, was it Breland who told Wilder or threw the towel in Wilder, you're getting beaten, then he fired him? Was that Mark Breland who was his? I think it was Breland.
Was it?
Wilder. I want to say it was Breland who Wilder fired because Wilder was taking a beating, and Breland, knowing more boxing than Wilder's forgotten, threw a towel in. I don't want my guy to take it, and he fired him. So now, and I'm saying all that to say now cornermen are like, come on, Drew, I'll be honest with you, man. We lost this round. We need this. Where old cornermen were like, what the hell is wrong with you? Get your head out of your ass. We need to. They can't do that anymore. They can't get in their ass. And I wish they would have, because I would have liked to know if they'd done that to Plant, what would have happened? You know what I mean? Because I still like to think his toolbox is better. I still think he's a better fighter. But on that night, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
You know what I mean? So having said that, man, where he and Plant, how can I say this? He never looked comfortable. Before Resendiz, and when I say that, it's like he was never popping a jab. He was never really comfortable fighting at range. Yes, he won the first 2 or 3 or 4 rounds. Give you that, right? I'll give you that. But he didn't look like he was in control, okay? So only remember he's starting to pull away. Because at no point, even the first 2, 3 rounds, it's not like, yeah, he's ready. He's ready. He's tuned in. I didn't see that. And towards the end, like I said, from 6 on, it was Resendiz who was tuned in. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? And good. I want you, whatever you got to say before I get to this last point, because it might lead you to say some things.
Well, no, I agree with you. I had 3 of the first 4 rounds going to Plant, and then afterwards it really was lopsided. Resendiz,
yeah, absolutely was.
That left side. I mean, you could see Plant that left hand start coming down to protect the left side.
And I said that for early on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was, and that was great to me from Resendiz, because at first I said Plant is holding that. He was holding that left too low, and that's when your boy started throwing a couple of hooks and then, hit the bit. And then once he got it higher, Resendiz said, "I'll just change location." Real location. And he stopped going to the head and just beat up the body. Ooh, beat up that body.
And it's not. It doesn't look. It's not impressive. It's not going to be on the Sports Center top 5, right? But it's extremely effective. It is extremely effective.
In MMA, we'll say, man, look at his leg from taking those leg kicks. Because when you get that, it doesn't always give you the welt, doesn't make it black and blue, but it makes it as red as the crunk on your shirt. It makes it red, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And that's what his left hind quarter, you know what I mean? It would just, oh man.
Well, wasn't it Poirier who beat McGregor in the second round because he just kept kicking his lead leg so bad?
Yeah,
basically broke his shin.
Yeah. And when he stepped back, and it was, and we've seen that, man. We'll see guys, and I don't know. I know you box, but I don't know how you ever sparred MMA or whatever. Those leg kicks are no joke, and yeah. But now, real quick, and I'd heard some chapping, you chirping that, and he said it for years, Teddy Atlas, that chronological calendar years are different from in the ring years. and the abuse and I get that. And I get that. And they're talking about he got dropped by Crumbly, however you pronounce his name. Your boy Plant did, but he ended up coming back and win. So you were able to get that, you know what I mean? You were able to get the stoppage in that. He did take a beating against Benavidez. He did take a beating and get knocked out against Canelo. And I get if all your fights were wars, and he's had some, but let's not forget, he was feeling pretty good and had that nasty knockout against Darrell. You know what I'm saying? So when you think of Plant, you're not the 3 fights that Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward had, those take years off your boxing career.
Yes.
Justin Gaethje has wars that take years off of your MMA career. I don't put Plant in those fights. I don't put him in that category. You've had some tough ones, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, you took some abuse. You really did. But but that's me. Again, that's my personal opinion. You see it differently to the Atlas, to other people. Everybody sees how they see it. I just don't look at Plant and the losses that he's had and the fights that he's had. Oh, he's been in some wars. Michael Gregory Mills. I don't say that when I think of Caleb Plant. You do. Maybe you do. I just don't. So that doesn't bother me, but I just think differently when I hear people say that.
He's a very good fighter. He's not an elite great fighter in my view in terms of his, who he's beaten, etc. But he's a very good fighter. He's been a champion. I mean, I'm not going to give the guy his due, but
yeah. And I, like I said, I still picked him because his toolbox was better. I still picked him better than Resendiz. You know what I mean? Real quick, let me ask you this. Do you still want to see Plant in Charlo?
Okay, I don't want to necessarily, but if it's offered, I will watch.
Yes, because okay.
They're both very good fighters. Charlo's a great fighter.
I don't want to see it. And I'm not going to be, you need to sign this, you need to sign it. But if they sign it, I want to see it. You know what I mean? So
I'm right with you.
You know what I mean? So it's not like we're looking for, but nowadays we're looking for any big names to fight big names because we're not getting it. You know what I mean? We're just not getting it. So you're right. I don't know if we'll see it, but let's hope. And let's put it this way. I don't know that I want to see Garcia and Haney. Haney's afraid to get hit. Garcia had ran in his last fight. That one, I don't know if I want to see. I'll just be honest with you.
Well, now, I mean, with Garcia having the hand and apparently possibly a shoulder operation, De La Hoya came out and said he might as well be sit a year. That puts all kinds of doubts on things. For him to sit a year for a suspension, have a lackluster performance against Romero, and then have to miss another year due to multiple injuries, that's not a good thing for any.
He's still young, but it's like, can he recover from this? Seriously, can he come back to recover from this? Because you don't want him to be looked at as a journeyman that quick, to go from sugar to shit. Last year, he's big name and he's hyping, or 2 years ago, whatever, 3 years ago, him and Tank. Then it's going to be him and Haney. You get the impressive win, then you got PDs. Then you go crazy, and I mean, it just I mean, you'd hate to see that, man, but he's still young. Hopefully he can come back from it, and we'll go from there, and we'll see, man. But my heart goes out to Plant because I do like Plant. Like I said, I don't consider him elite, pound for pound in my top 10, but he was always a gamer. He's always ready to bring it. I just think his mind was elsewhere Saturday night. I do.
It's the cardinal sin in any sport. Never look ahead. Never look ahead.
Exactly.
But we're going to look ahead because we're not fighting. We're going to talk
man.
Keyshawn Davis, Edwin De Los Santos, WBO World Lightweight Championship fight coming up this Saturday. It's going to be on ESPN. It's going to be in Norfolk, Virginia, the hometown of the Davis family. And I know his Keyshawn's brother's on the undercard as well. We're going to talk Davis and De Los Santos right now. This is going to be a good matchup here. I mean, Davis undefeated, 9 knockouts, WBO champion, but De Los Santos 16-2 with 14 knockouts. He's got some pop, man. He's got some pop. Let's talk about. What do you think of him? Okay,
first off, and I don't know why this shocks me, but it does. De Los Santos is younger than Keyshawn. I don't know why. I just assumed he was older. I don't know why. I just assumed he was older, right?
He's been around longer, that's all.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. He has. And he's faced and gotten some rings and some experience in the ring. Whether how he lost to Shakur ran wasn't tough, whatever. He lost 116, 112. And he's fought some other guys to get some experience. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. Keyshawn is hot right now. He's hot. They're fighting another one in his home state, his hometown. His brothers, DB3, Davis brothers, three of them, DB3, they're on the mat. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. Power-wise, this may be what because he has power, this may be what Santos needs. Because toolbox for toolbox, I don't know who to pick. I really don't know who to pick. Where Santos comes with power, but Keyshawn sets him up. You know what I mean? You know how Cuz D'Amato used to say, once any fighter gets a belt, they automatically get 10, 20% better. He's hanging around with Bud. He's now, you see a different swag in the way he carries himself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really, really interested in this one. I really am.
Yeah, I think this is, I in my personal opinion, I think this will be Davis's biggest challenge to date. He's going to have to bring his A game. I hope. Now you make a good point. You start hanging around champion, that starts rubbing off on you, no question. But what also could rub off on you is that lifestyle. You're a player, you're a champion. Maybe your head's not quite in the game. I don't believe that's the case with Davis at all. I think he's a pro, and he's certainly not going to not bring his A game, especially fighting in his hometown. There's no way. I don't believe we're going to see a lesser version of Keyshawn Davis, but he's got to be wary of De Los Santos' power but the thing with Davis is I think he always keeps he keeps good distance. His ring gamesmanship is just second to none. I really, really like what he does in the ring. He's a very smart fighter, and he's very strategic. But I am concerned a little bit that if he gets caught, I've never really seen him get caught and see how he handles it. I think De Los Santos is going to give him that kind of a challenge. So it's kind of risky in a sense, but at the same time, I think he could learn a lot from this fight and hopefully win this fight in his camp, certainly, and then go on to even better things after this. But this is going to be a big challenge for him.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And Keyshawn can fight from anywhere. And we've seen him. He'll fight from a distance, pop, boom, boom, take a shot to get in, get out, whatever have you. Mm-hmm. And then we've seen him fight in close because it was Baranchyk who wanted to be all over him. And he still don't get knocked out. Fights Lemos, does what he has to do. So I see why Keyshawn is hot and confident, right? Whatever have you. But now, I don't know if you saw at the press conference, he just dared Abdullah Mason, if he wins, fight me next. What are you doing? You have seen that has not worked out for most fighters. You have bigger fish to fry because this right now, I don't care about belts and what's online. Yes, Baranchyk had the belt and you end up winning it. But toolbox for toolbox, skill set for skill set, fighter for fighter, this is probably the best cat you fought. Mm-hmm. This is probably the best cat you fought. You know what I'm saying? And regardless of who his knockouts have been by, because they haven't been a whole lot of big names and a lot of whatever have you, but he's got 14 of them. He's got 14 against professional fighters. I get they're not Keyshawn Davis level. But as we talked about it before, the human jaw is not meant to be hit that way. It really isn't. You know what I'm saying? And we don't know if Keyshawn can withstand that punishment. Yeah. I like to believe he's going to be home. He's got his brothers on the card. It's his hometown. He's the champ. This to me is a pick'em. It just really is. And if he indeed he wins, as in Keyshawn wins, it'll be those things. Does Santos get outside of himself? Does Santos get too hyped, get caught in a moment, want to come in and show what he can do to the hometown boy? You know what I mean? In that aspect where I say I'm not a Mayweather guy like you are, but I always give Mayweather his credit. He never got into his feelings. He never got outside the game plan. Will Santos stay inside the game plan? Will Keyshawn get too hype? Will he get wild on his punches? There's a lot that can go on this. This is going to be a great card and a great fight.
Yeah, how I see this going, I gotta pick Keyshawn Davis. I'm gonna stick with him. And I agree with you. I mean, you know what's funny? Vegas does not see it the way we're seeing it. Keyshawn Davis is a -710 right now.
Yes, huge.
Yeah, but this is not lopsided on paper. It's certainly not lopsided on paper.
Well, here's the thing. Can we agree that Plant in his weight class, even though he wasn't champ, well, yeah, he was more established at his weight class than Keyshawn is, I would think.
Yes.
He has been in bigger fights, bigger paydays than Keyshawn.
Yes.
He was a huge minus 2,500 favorite.
Yeah.
And he lost. You know what I mean? That was my guy Tyson, and he lost to Buster Douglas. This is why they fight. So they don't always know everything. This, to me, that -710, if you were even a -300, I would think it's high, but I could go anywhere from 200 to 275 maybe. He's a -275. But -710? I don't know, brother. I don't know about that one. If that's the case, I'd put let me put a little $20, $30 on Santos on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't see it that big, though. I don't see that. I ain't even gonna lie.
No, I don't. I think Davis will get the decision. I think he would have to really struggle badly, and if he does, he could get hurt. I think he'll hold. I think he'll hold up. I think he'll get the decision. I'd like to see a knockout on his part, but I don't believe I can't see that happening yet. He's got, to me, I still want to see that from him, to see that kind of a decisive win, especially against a pro like De Los Santos. I still think it's going to go the distance, but what are your thoughts?
Wow. You got now we're complete opposites on this.
Okay.
If this goes the distance, I'm telling you now, I think right now, if this goes the distance, it could be up for fight of the year because of their styles. Keyshawn doesn't run.
No, they don't.
Santos has power. You got one guy that's going to be there, right? As in Keyshawn. Now, you got to be able to hit him, but he's not going to run. He's not going to make you chase him. You got Santos, who's throwing with power, right?
Mm-hmm.
Big dog. If this goes the distance, I'm telling you now, it's going to be, I'm saying right now, early candidate fight of the year. If that, and I shouldn't even say early candidate because it's halfway through the year, but I'm going fight of the year. I say I can't pick the winner. I don't think this sees the beginning of the 10th. I don't think we see the 10th of the championship rounds. I don't.
I hope you're right. I really do, because it would be nice to see a fight, and I think this has the potential to live up to it. Really live up to the hype. I really think it will. It's not getting as much hype as other fights, obviously, that we've seen with the Garcia fight, etc. But at the end of the day, Keyshawn Davis is a big name in boxing right now, and he's going to get even bigger after.
Yes, and it stinks that ESPN lost Top Rank Boxing, because this is his second, third, fourth time fighting on ESPN.
Oh yeah.
You have more fights like this. Abdullah Mason, those guys are fighting. At some point, they're going to be going on to pay-per-views. However, you still strike while the iron's hot. Then you get some of these other cats fighting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think it stinks the Top Rank wanted to go elsewhere, but ESPN was on something, man, to where they're putting some good fights on, man. I'll give you, and this card is going to be no different. I'm only hyped right now about the main event and the co-main event. But a lot of these local fighters, the Davis brothers, this entire card could be pretty good, man.
Oh, yeah, but let's talk about the Mason fight. He's taking on Jeremia Nakathila. He, in this lightweight fight, 10-round co-main event, Mason 18-0 with 16 knockouts. Nakathila 26-4-0 with 21 knockouts. He's got some pop. No question. Now, he did lose to Shakur Stevenson about 4 years ago. It was in 2021, unanimous decision. I do remember the fight, but let's talk about this. What kind of fight do you think Nakathila is going to, or what kind of challenge do you think he brings to Abdullah Mason?
Okay, more than people think, and here's why. Because I understand he's never fought I hate to say never, very rarely fought outside of Namibia, Africa, where he's originally from, I want to say, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But he has power. He does have power. He is an orthodox, and Mason is a southpaw.
You got it.
Right?
Yep.
So, having said that, and how do you defeat a southpaw? With that straight right.
Mm-hmm.
He's got power in that straight right. We've seen our boy, because Mason's my boy. I like him. I like him a lot. We've seen him get hit. We've seen him get dropped. But we've seen his boxing IQ where he adjusts on the fly. So I'm interested in this one, big dog. I'm interested in this one as well for that reason. What are you thinking?
Well, here's some stats. Mason's 21, Nakathila's 35.
I know.
Mason's 5'9", Nakathila's 6 foot. And to your point, Mason being the southpaw, Nakathila being orthodox, but we've seen Mason take punishment, especially lately. And yeah, he did. He's got huge heart and he's got the ring IQ, but you better have a huge chin, because if you hit too often like that, it don't matter how much IQ you've got. It's going to be lights out. And this is a huge challenge for Abdullah Mason. I'm looking forward to this fight the most.
If Mason gets dropped, not knocked out, dropped, then the first, I'll say 3, but I want to say 2. If he gets dropped within the first, hell, I'm going to go. I got the guts of a cat burger. I'm saying 2.
Okay.
If he gets dropped in the first 2 rounds, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised, because he gets hit. Then I want to see if he puts how he adjusts his game plan and starts boxing. I find it hard to believe that at 35, Nakathila can go the entire 10-12. What's a 10-rounder, right? Because there's no 10 round.
Yep.
I don't see him being able to go 10 rounds at a high pace with a 21-year-old kid. But he's got experience. In jiu-jitsu, you can be tired, but you know how to hold somebody where you can rest even when you're fighting. Mm-hmm. 35, I understand he's not fought outside of Africa much, so he hasn't fought the talent level, but tricks are tricks, and you learn them. You know what I mean? So I'm assuming he has some tricks. He has some tricks that he's learned that can get him in. And I'm going to assume he's learned a trick or two that Mason probably hasn't seen in his short, career so far. But I'll be surprised, man. I'm still going to go on this one with Mason. I'm going to go with Mason. I'm going to go with Mason 6-7, maybe 8, 6 or 7.
Okay, yeah, we're thinking the same way here. I got Mason. I had going 8. Mason and 8. I think he'll get a stoppage. I think it'll be a TKO. I don't think he's going to put his lights out. I think he's gonna get the stoppage, in my view. But I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. And I think Mason's got to be very careful, like you said, that straight right. Being a southpaw and really showing a propensity to getting hit early. He's got to be really careful. So we'll see. But yeah, that co-main event with Abdullah Mason and Nakathila, and you've got the headliner with Keyshawn and Dyllian Santos. That's gonna be a hell of
a absolutely.
We got a couple more fights to talk about here. We got about 10, 11 minutes. Fabio Wardley is taking on your guy Justis Huni. He's 7 knockouts. Wardley 18-1 with 17 KOs. They're fighting in Ipswich at the football stadium there.
Yeah.
For the interim WBA heavyweight championship. So it's like the intercontinental championship for the world in the WWE. It's not the world championship, but it is a belt. But it's an interesting fight. There's people picking Huni for an upset. I've been reading about this. What are your thoughts?
Yes. Well, okay. Do you know? I hate to say, do you know why? But do you know why?
To be honest, I haven't really read the rationale necessarily behind it, but I've watched tape. I can see kind of why, but I don't know if I'm convinced. What are you hearing?
Okay. Well, remember his when I say his, Wardley's last fight with Frazier Clark. Yep. The last one, he caught him in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
But the first one, Clark dropped him, whatever have you, and he still got the draw. He got the draw. Okay, now your boy Clark is 33, right?
Yeah.
And he's 6'5", whatever have you. Huni, he's 26. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but he's got a significantly better skill set than Wardley. Believe it or not, Wardley's got all the power, but Huni has a hell of a skill set. Younger, quicker. Well, they're about the same age, basically same size, but he's quicker. He has more rounds because he's willing to go further because he's technical with his. Mm-hmm. Now, he, as in Huni, has to, number one, make Wardley earn it, right? Because in the first fight, Frazier Clark boxed and did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
The second fight, Hundley was like bullshit to that, and he came in to get it done.
Yeah.
And he was throwing haymakers, throwing punches with bad intentions, and got him out of there. Huni cannot take those shots. Nobody can. I mean, Wardley's strong as an ox, right? But if Huni, to me, comes in behind that jab, digs deep into his toolbox, gets off the angles, he can have a better showing. But with Wardley's power, he only needs one. He only needs one to flip the entire fight. But when you're looking at skill set, and I peep some of his fights as in Huni and what he does, I understand they're not power or Wardley and this, that, whatever have you. Mm. But you also know this because we saw it happen to Deontay Wilder. When you're, and I don't want to call Wardley one-dimensional, but you know he's going to pop that jab because he's hoping you get occupied and you run into or don't see that overhand right coming.
Yeah.
But you know that's all you're waiting for. He's not going deep into his bag of tricks.
Very true.
Deontay Wilder, he had that right hand. It was massive. But once he fought somebody that could deal with it and knew how to think about it, your boy Fury had one moment in all three of their fights where he let his guard down and that was the 11th where he got dropped. It was at the 12th. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
When he got dropped by that right hand. But all the other times when he had his head on and do what he's supposed to, he was never in danger. And that, to me, is what's up with Wardley. If you can watch for that right hand, game plan, fight, work your angles, do what you need to do. Don't plant your feet for too long because it's going to be trouble.
Yeah.
So it's going to me. If you tell me they're entering the 6th, 7th, 8th round, it's a close fight. It's a close fight, man. I really believe it is. I know you haven't watched much of Huni, but if you get a chance to go see some of his highlights, whatever have you, and you don't even want to watch highlights because highlights is the best of everything. But even if you want to pick a fight at random, you can tell athleticism. You know what I'm saying? You can tell, even if he's fighting a guy that isn't a world beater, you can tell if a guy got talent. You know what I'm saying? Or has athletic ability. And Huni, it's going to be a good one, man. It's going to be a good one. If you tell me he knocked him out in the first round, I get it because Wardley has that power.
Yeah. But
Huni's got some skills to be reckoned with.
He does. I like Wardley in this fight still, but yeah, Huni he's interesting. I'd say his tape is kind of mixed. I saw some really good things, and then I saw fights and highlights where he can be hit, and a guy like Wardley's going to hit him.
Oh, without question, but let's not forget, he's only got, 10, 12, 11 fights?
Yeah, 12-0, yep.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Now, again, what is 12-0? Lomo, the great Lomo, won his belt with 13 fights. Keyshawn doesn't have a whole lot. So, again, depending on who you fight, you know what I mean? It could be whatever in those 10, 12, 11, 12 fights, whatever it is. But this is definitely a huge step up for both guys, but for different reasons. Huge step up for Huni because you've never fought anybody with this power.
No.
Yes, Wardley has fought Frazier, who was a few years older, had some boxing ability, but I don't think he's ever fought anybody this athletic with the skill set of Huni. So it's going to be a good one, man. I really do think it's going to be a good one. I'm still going to go with Wardley, but if you tell me Huni wins it, I'm not going to be shocked, man. I'm really not.
I'm with you. I'm definitely with you on that one. Got one more fight. We got the IBF Ring Magazine Cruiserweight Championship on the line. Opetaia, who was the champion, taking on Claudio Squeo. Squeo 17-0 with 9 knockouts, but that resume's a little thin. I didn't see a lot on there. Opetaia is a great fighter. I personally, I'm excited to watch this because I like seeing Opetaia fight, but I don't think this is going to be a close contest. Your thoughts, though?
Okay, well, here's the thing. First off, okay, what did he fight 90 days ago? 90 some days ago?
Mm-hmm.
Opetaia, whatever have you, when he knocked out Nakathila in the 4th round, vicious knockout.
Yeah.
Here's what's bothering me. I don't know. He, as in Jai, is talking about he welcomes a fight against Jake Paul. He's calling out Jake Paul. What are you doing? What are you doing? Because
that fight was on the up and up. That wouldn't even go 1 round.
No. But let's not forget. Jai. Some people are calling out his resume because he hasn't fought any world beaters. However, he's been vicious. Yeah. But why are you worried about Paul? Because it's a huge payday. I'll get you that. But they're going to say the further it goes, the more you make, whatever have you. That ain't boxing, dude. That's not the way we pugilist fans want to see that go, right? That the longer it goes, the more you make. No, pay me my purse. When I knock you out in the 1st round, I knock you out in 10th, I get my purse. But I would like to see him, Ramirez. There's other guys at cruiserweight. His guy, Frankie Warren, whoever his manager is talking about him winning this one and then going up and cleaning out in the heavyweight division. Now, I understand there may be more money in the heavyweight division, but dominate the division you're in first. You know what I'm saying? But who am I? Fighting's different now. I'm an old man. I'm an old guy. I like to see you dominate your division, take out all the other champs before you move up. Guys now want to move up because that's where the money is. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
sure.
But on this one, man, as we talk about it, his opponent, if this sees the beginning of the 5th, that means they have literally tied one of Jai's arms behind his back. I want to say it shouldn't see the 4th, to be honest with you. It really shouldn't.
It shouldn't. It should. 17-0 and 9 knockouts, but it's again, who have you fought? I watched some tape. I don't believe he's at. I honestly don't. He's got a puncher's chance, and that's about it. I'm honestly, Jai's much.
That's it. The puncher's chance. But I'm telling you now, Drew. I'm gonna be sick to my stomach if he ends up if it's a better fight than it is, because your boy Jai is overlooking this guy, talking about a YouTuber. You know what I mean? Talking about a guy who's only fought one real boxer, and he lost when he fought Fury's younger brother. You know what I'm saying? So having said that, man, seriously, I want to say it shouldn't see the end of the 3rd, shouldn't see the beginning of the 4th. But I'll give old boy an extra round just because he might do something. He might run for the 1st round or 2. I don't know. But skill set, man, there's no way. This is – I can't believe it's a headliner. You know what I mean? I really can't. I don't see it and understand it.
I'll be honest with you, and this is probably another topic for another show. The cruiserweight division, to me, they need to eliminate that division and create a super heavyweight division. They need to. That's my opinion, but it needs to be that from the light heavyweight limit, which is 175. Anywhere from 175 to 220 should be heavyweight, and then anything above maybe 230, and anything above 230 super heavyweight. And most of these guys are over 230 now. Usyk, the exception.
Yeah.
Most of the guys are monsters now, so you really have to. You got to look at that too. I mean, the heavyweight fighters champions now are a lot bigger than.
So would you say for cruiserweight 175 to 120?
No,
220.
Or 230, it'd be a very broad one, and then you'd have 230 and up for super heavyweight. But you get cruiserweight division has always been this kind of black hole, so to speak. The light heavyweight championship means a lot. The heavyweight's the pinnacle, and the cruiserweight was just always that tweener. I mean, Holyfield dominated it, but nobody really cared about him.
Since Holyfield, have we really been interested in the cruiserweights?
Not really. Not really. It's just I remember Burt Cooper started out at cruiserweight. Yeah, he was nice.
Smoking Burt.
Yeah, I like Burt. He was a nice fighter at cruiserweight, pretty decent heavyweight too. Just he was mid 80s, early 80s. There was a lot of talent.
But there's guys out there. First, I'd like to see Ramirez. He's number 2 cruiser. But there's other belts in the cruiserweight division. I'd like to see your boy Jai cross over to get a couple belts before you think about moving up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
we'll
see, man.
I hear that, but it's going to be a big weekend of boxing, no question. We didn't have enough time to get to any MMA this week, but we'll certainly hopefully touch on some next week. But it's been always real, Chops, talking the sweet science with you.
Without question, absolutely.
Thank you.
We saw a couple real quick. We saw a couple fights in boxing that are lined up, here right before the end of the year. So it could be hopefully those fights will, and we'll get into them later as they come. Hopefully that will be able to set up some other fighters to come out of the woodwork, or whether it's Top Rank, whether it's Hearn, whether it's Sheik, getting some of these other guys, get them into the ring, and we'll go from there.
Exactly.
So we'll see.
Exactly. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button on the video. Don't forget to subscribe. We appreciate your support. Check us out every week on the ESEN network every Friday night at 10 p.m. He's Chops. I'm Drew. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you for watching the Haymakers and Submissions podcast. You can find us on the ESEN network on the Roku app every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time beginning on October 4th, 2024. Check us out on Twitter X. Our handle is @HaySubPod, capital H, capital S, capital P. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single episode. Just go to your web browser and type in www.youtube.com/@Haymakers and Submissions podcast, as we will drop content weekly. Whether it's boxing, MMA, or wrestling that gets you fired up, you'll get all you need right here at the Haymakers and Submissions podcast.